The evening of October 27th, 1984, was like many others for Clara Evans. A crisp, cool Sunday, the kind that hints at winter's approach, painting the trees in dying embers of orange and red. Clara, just 23, was on her way home, settled into the rhythmic sway of the last train from the city. She had spent the weekend visiting her sister, a familiar ritual that offered a brief escape from the quiet predictability of her small-town life. The train car was sparsely populated, hushed, the only sounds the rumble of steel on steel and the occasional muffled cough from a distant passenger. Rain had started to fall, a soft, insistent drumming against the windowpane, blurring the passing fields and skeletal trees into smudged charcoal. Clara watched it all, her reflection superimposed on the darkening landscape outside, a silent companion on her journey. She was looking forward to a warm bath, a good book, and the comfort of her own bed. A perfectly ordinary end to a perfectly ordinary weekend. She had no reason to believe that the world, as she knew it, was about to unravel, that this quiet journey home would become a journey into the absolute unknown. Her stop, Blackwood Junction, wasn't much of a junction at all, more a forgotten halt, nestled deep within a stretch of dense forest, miles from the nearest main road. It served only a handful of scattered farmhouses and a small, decaying village that had seen better days. The platform was short, barely lit by a single flickering bulb that cast long, dancing shadows. As the train hissed to a halt, the sudden silence was profound, broken only by the persistent drizzle and the distant hoot of an owl. Clara gathered her small bag, a worn leather satchel, and stepped down onto the damp asphalt of the platform. The conductor, a man she recognized from her regular commutes, gave a brief, tired nod from the doorway as she disembarked. "Evening, Miss Evans," he mumbled, his voice a low rumble. She offered a faint smile in return, pulling her jacket tighter against the chill. The train's doors hissed shut again, and with a low groan, the behemoth of steel began to pull away, its red taillights shrinking rapidly into the curtain of rain and darkness. And then, she was alone, completely, utterly alone, on that small, desolate platform. The last sliver of light and sound from the train vanished, leaving her enveloped by the oppressive quiet of the woods. Only the faint, almost swallowed glow of the station lamp remained, a solitary sentinel against the encroaching night. She stood there for a moment, waiting for the sound of her father's car. He usually picked her up, but there was nothing. Only the rain, the wind, and the profound, unsettling silence. Hours later, the silence at Clara's family home was far from peaceful. It was thick with a growing dread. Her father had waited, then driven to the station, then driven back. No Clara, no sign of her. The initial calls were to friends, to her sister, a frantic circuit of increasingly desperate inquiries. By midnight, panic had set in. The local police were notified. They checked the station. Empty. Dark. The only evidence of Clara's arrival being the conductor's testimony, confirming he had seen her step off the train. He remembered her clearly. Clara Evans, the young woman who always took the last train on Sunday. The conductor, the last confirmed person to see her alive and well, could offer no more than that. The station master, a gruff old man named Robert Finch, confirmed the train's arrival and departure times, but he had been in his office, completing paperwork. No one else was on the platform. No one saw her leave, or even linger. There was no security camera footage in 1984, certainly not at a forgotten stop like Blackwood Junction. The investigators found nothing but damp asphalt and the echoing emptiness of the platform. It was as if Clara Evans had simply dissolved into the night air the moment the train had left. The search that followed was exhaustive, yet utterly fruitless. Police dogs were brought in, their keen senses useless against the scent-masking rain that had fallen all night. Search parties scoured the dense, dripping woods surrounding Blackwood Junction for weeks, Every inch of the short, winding road that led from the station to the nearest village was examined. Not a single trace was found. No dropped satchel, no scarf caught on a branch, not a footprint, not a discarded cigarette butt. Nothing. It was baffling. How could a person, a young woman with no known enemies, no history of mental illness, no reason to simply vanish, disappear so completely from such a contained space? Her family insisted she would never run away. She had a job she loved, friends, and a close family. There was no note, no cryptic phone call, no pre-arranged plan discovered. The few locals who lived near the junction, mostly elderly and reclusive, reported seeing nothing unusual that night. The only thing they heard was the distant rumble of the last train, a familiar, comforting sound that had, on that night, carried away more than just passengers. The absence of any trace ignited a desperate, unsettling flurry of theories. Was it a random abduction? A predator lurking in the shadows of Blackwood Junction? But the area was so isolated, so rarely used. And where was the struggle? Where was any evidence? Could she have somehow wandered off into the dense woods in the dark, perhaps disoriented, and succumbed to the elements? The thought chilled her family, but it seemed unlikely for an alert young woman who knew the general area. Perhaps she had met with an accident on the short, unlit road, and her body was somehow concealed, washed away by the nearby creek during a sudden flash flood. Investigators explored this, but found no evidence of flooding or recent road accidents. Then, there was the darker, more unsettling possibility that Clara had, for reasons unknown, simply decided to disappear, to step off that train and walk away from her life. But why? And how could she have managed it without leaving a single shred of evidence, a single witness to her departure from the platform? Each theory presented a new set of questions, each more unanswerable than the last. The case became a vortex of speculation, drawing in every imaginable possibility, yet solidifying none. Years turned into decades. The Blackwood Junction train stop, once a functional, if desolate point on the railway line, eventually fell into disuse, the platform decaying, the single flickering light long since gone dark. It became a ghostly testament to a forgotten journey, a silent monument to an enduring question. The trains still rumble past, day and night, their powerful lights briefly illuminating the overgrown platform before plunging it back into shadow. But no one gets off there anymore, and no one has ever stepped forward with new information, no deathbed confession, no chance discovery. Clara Evans, the young woman who stepped off the last train home on that rainy October night, remains a ghost in the annals of the missing. Her family, now older, still waits, still wonders. What happened in those crucial moments after the train pulled away, leaving her standing alone in the dark? Did she walk into the woods? Was she taken? Or did she somehow truly vanish into the thin, cold air of that forgotten junction? The answer, like the train tracks themselves, stretches endlessly into the dark, unresolved horizon.